Welcome back, guys. I'm Katya, an activational mentor, medium, and founder of the Elevate community, where we're on a mission to help 1 million women unlock their purpose and master their mind so they can live the abundant, soul-led lives that they dream of. So if that kind of thing speaks to you, subscribe to my channel and make sure you get all the updates as soon as they're released. They're generally timely. And if you like what you listen to, what you get here, give it a like. You'll also be helping me reach my goal of supporting the people that are really meant to hear this message. So in today's update, we're going to be talking particularly about the solstice and this cycle that we're in right now. And it's really about sowing our long-term plans within the fertile soil of the collective plan for creation that's happening right now for our next lives to come. So it's not so much about coming up with a plan, because if you don't have a plan right now, you may be saying like, what do I do? Like, I don't really know. I don't have a plan. It's not so much about that. It's about really discovering that this plan already exists within us. And whatever it is that is lighting us up most is the plan that we are being led to by these breadcrumbs and nudges, you could say. So the energy that we have been swimming in for the last couple of days, yesterday was the solstice, big energy yesterday. And we have been playing in this Gemini energy for a better part of a month, right? Leading up to the solstice. And it's immensely activating. It's purging. It is a time of integration. And this is all from the eclipses, the alignments, the activations of cosmic energies and things even like the Schumann resonance, which is the Earth's harmonic frequency. All of these things are affecting not only our biology and how we feel, but also the trajectory of our lives and how things are unfolding for us. And so it's all designed, though, to help us get clear as possible and to arrive at this point of purity in our frequency and really in our expression as much as we possibly can at this point in time in our individual evolution. And we're doing this collectively. So if you think about that, you're becoming the best version of yourself, slowly, sometimes painfully, step by step. But this is happening to you, but it's also happening to the entire collective. So it's a really cool place to be. And the time that we're living in is so unique because we are all up leveling and becoming the best versions of ourselves together. So where we're headed is magnificent. So if you're in a place you're not feeling great, just know that it is all leading towards great things. So the other part here too is this is about getting us to be able to cross over the threshold of our next lives into our new lives and truly leave the old behind. And so if you've been feeling this kind of feeling almost like being torn away from what you may have always done, the way you have been being, and being literally pulled out of that, this is why, because the energy is really here to do that. It's like, okay, you have to let go of that anchor. That time is done. This is new. This is where we're moving to. And when I say we, I'm talking about your higher self. The fullness of who you are in the, unseen as well as the seen. It encompasses all of that within you, that is ready to go. And so we can't be digging our heels in anymore. Doing that is going to be extremely painful, and it's not going to get anywhere, and it's not even an option. So it's like we're wasting our time spinning our wheels just for the sake of entertaining the ego mind. Ultimately is what it comes down to, because it's trying to pull us away from what we're actually being called towards naturally, but may not be willing to see it. Okay, so where might you be seeing this? So it is going to be, of course, different for everybody, but for me, for my partner and myself, I'll give you some examples of how we're seeing it. We're seeing it in, at least I'll speak for myself first. So different priorities showing up. What I'm noticing is a desire for more time for me, more time to take care of the body. And I know that this is also quite collective, so maybe you can relate to some of this stuff. Wanting to have more time for yourself, not feeling like you have to be on the hamster wheel. right? Hamster wheel. What am I doing? What am I doing? This is just busyness, busyness, and I'm not actually feeling fulfilled. That kind of feeling is really being escalated right now. So more time for us, more time for me, more time for taking care of the physical body. There's definitely a resurgence. We saw a lot of this in the beginning of 2023, and now halfway through 2024, there is more of this again. The body is coming online even more, wanting to be a participating partner. Now, it's often referred to as like this amazing machine. It's not. It's a collective of cells which each have consciousness that are choosing to be you. And so this collective is coming more online, speaking up more. And so you're getting these nudges also from the body consciousness, inviting you to like, hey, come on, we're in this together. We have experiences we want to have. Let's all get on the same path. And that path is the path that you are feeling the pull to more than ever before right now. So something else as a theme that you're probably noticing and probably feeling is the idea of simplifying everything. I know I'm feeling this. So it started again, a new wave of it. Like I love purging and simplifying. It's part of my nature. However, when this energy kicks up, I just go off the rails in the best way possible. So it started last weekend, really on the 16th, the 15th of June, which would be the 6 Stargate, the second one of this month, which is a 6th month being June, right? Halfway through the year, which has 12 months in it. But there just came this spontaneous compulsion to simplify everything. So belongings, which involves purging, right? So I went through the garage and it was just like, oh, I thought I would just go and organize the recycling. I come out 45 minutes later and the garage is like this new heavenly space because all this stuff that was just random, chaotically left in weird places. I'm not going to say who did it, but just got put back into order. And along that process, I found all these things that I didn't need were ready to go. I'm the type of person, I hold on to things for a short period of time. It's like I give them a window to see if they're really needed. And then I love going back in to whatever the space is and just taking inventory. And now's the time. So that was totally happening. Anybody here go through a bit of a purge? Did you notice yourself wanting to clear spaces, just get things in order? This is why. So you may see this simplifying also happening, not just with belongings, but even with business. So I was seeing this with business as well, with the work that I do, whether it's with clients directly or in this community, the Elevate community, which is my new birthed baby, which I'm loving. But how do I keep things simple as opposed to complicating? Right? Complication is the way of the mind often, and it's the way many of us have done things in the past. How do I continue to simplify? So that was top of mind for me. Where did you see that? Did you see that coming up in your purpose work, in your business? What was that looking like for you? Because this simplification is coming on strong because where we're headed needs to be light, right? You'll also see this in relationships. And sometimes they're tied into business, sometimes it's tied into personal, but this is a big one too. And this is where it can feel uncomfortable, right? Because when we're simplifying in the area of relationships, what are we doing? Whether we know it or not, we're looking for ways for things to feel more like us. And sometimes it's also about giving space. So simplification is about creating spaciousness, right? And so I noticed for myself coming out of May and going into June was full, like schedules full, support full of support, people, all kinds of people, and amazing people. But the schedule piece for me was really tricky, because there were so many things I was being called and invited into, but there was just not the bandwidth to address them. And so you may find that as well, where it's like, okay, are you spreading yourself too thin? Have you been spreading yourself too thin? And now finally feeling more comfortable where you can say, okay, I'm above the storm, or I'm above the let's call it clutter, but that's not really the best word for it. Just like all the stuff, the congestion of things, tasks, people, opportunities, you name it. And now where we are is we can see it. And if you haven't already started to simplify there, you're going to want to simplify further. Or what you may be noticing is that you have been simplifying and maybe leaving more things out, which means you're detaching from some of these things, maybe not feeling like you love that experience because obligation can come up, guilt can come up, and feelings of discomfort or discomfort zone, as we talked about in the last video, can show up. But now you might be noticing, like, actually, I feel quite good about this. Like, yeah, like I'm okay with this. And I know that there'll be a different season that I can step back into and re-engage with the people, with the businesses, with the opportunities, or even just with play, right? Because there's a season for more activity, and there's also a season when we've got to trim things down. So we're coming out of that. You may have seen it there as well. And even your vision, like looking at your vision. Have any of you had the experience where, you have this big idea that comes forward, or it's just a vision of how you want maybe your life to unfold based on experiences that you've had already. So you know what you don't like, and now you're imagining what you do like, but you've seen that the vision is like, wow, okay, that's amazing. And I really don't know how I could do that because there's like so many moving parts. Notice if you get the inkling where you want to actually begin to simplify even the vision. So it's something you haven't even taken action on yet, but there is a sense perhaps within you where you are aware that you could get into deeper water if you don't make sure that you stay simple and allow simplicity to be the guiding rule as you create whatever it is you're creating forward. That is something to pay attention to as well, because we're being really thrust into this new creation cycle, which moves quickly, it moves efficiently, and it's easy. And at the same time, you want to make sure you're creating things that feel resonant, right? That feel like they're fun, enjoyable, and you can ebb and flow with ease. And that's where the simplification comes from. That's where the letting go of things that are no longer serving, right? Creating spaciousness. So keeping that in mind. And I'd love to know, have you guys noticed these things before? Like, not before, but recently? Are you feeling this kind of thing that I'm describing here? Okay. And it's also about allowing for more time. Who here would like more time, the experience of more time, that spaciousness that I mentioned? This is big now, and I want to talk a little bit about this. A big piece of this is being able to allow for more time, and we do that often, especially now. And this you may have noticed over the last week, or maybe even just the last few days, is that we allow for more time or can create more time when we step out of time. Stepping out of time, okay? To feel those new ideas of what life could be like. Now, what I mean by that is, I'll explain it, just stay with me. So if you step out of time to make more time, you're actually expanding time if you step out of it for a minute. And by stepping out of time, I'm really talking about stepping out of your normal routine, especially and even if your mind is telling you you shouldn't. There's no time for that. This is where you're going to start to challenge this idea of time. And if you do, and you do it from a place of flow and alignment, not out of fear and like, oh God, it's going to feel uncomfortable. But this is how we're starting to expand the idea of time. So when we do this, we are then allowing things that are more in alignment with who we have become, the things that we are wanting to create moving forward, and things that feel more resonant. And so as you do this, you're going to allow for a renewed version of what once was, not just talking about yourself, although that's part of it, but we allow for a renewed version of the thing that we stepped away from to reappear. And so creating that space between the way you were doing it, the way it once was, stepping away, following what it is that you're feeling guided to, and then coming back to it is going to allow for a rebirth, something that is lighter, more free, more playful. This is what this space and playing with time is going to open up. Especially right now, we're talking about the solstice, which was yesterday on the 20th, and today the 21st, which is the full moon in this particular lunation. It's extremely potent for creating this new life, this new cycle that you are at many levels wanting to step into, that we all are. So it's super exciting. But part of this is also creating more fluid, less rigid, and calling us to be that. Okay, this is not talking about giving up or losing sight of or deviating from alignment. Alignment is the one thing that you stay constant with, if as much as possible. It's not like you are wanting to step away from being in alignment. That is generally when we are compromising, right? For what the mind will say, the betterment of this. I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. I don't want to do this and rock the boat. I don't want to cause trouble. So I'll just do this, even though I'm really feeling like this is where I want to go. This is how I want to do it. We don't do that. When you do that, you're basically throwing dirt in your higher self's face. Use an analogy like that. But it's true. It's like you're disregarding this divine wisdom, this divine insight, this divine calling that's pulling you forward for the sake of the lower mind's ideas about what's happening with other people in your reality experience. And that is just basically saying, no, this illusion that I'm playing with here, that I really can only see this much, my view is much better than this view, which I know that I have access to if I tap into this kind of insight and guidance, and just simply following the breadcrumbs is all it is. And it's an energetic thread that we can all feel. Does that make sense? Let me know. Please leave a comment if this makes sense. Yeah? Okay, because this was coming through so strongly today, and talk about expanding time. Okay, so I have a list that was probably an arm's length today of things that I just felt so, I want to get these done, because it was all tying up loose ends, right? Loose ends, because we're headed into this new chapter, all of us, and me on my own journey. I'm about to start a new adventure too. And so even though I had this list, I was so excited about getting started on just checking these things off. Just get it done, get it done, get it done. I felt so strongly like, okay, the first thing I have to record a video. I'm like, well, on what? Okay. And then I sat down and I took the time that my mind would normally have said, we don't have time for that. We have all these things we have to get done on the list. But instead, I'm just like, no, this is what's pulling me right now. This is where I'm being asked to stay, to focus my creative power, to focus my attention, and just do this. Why? Because this allows me to stay on purpose. It allows me to fulfill my mission, my purpose, the thing that I came here to do, maybe not for 100 years, but maybe it's just for this week. But I'm being asked to do this. By what? By my higher aspect, which is what? Which is the fullness of who I am. And so if I keep lining myself up with that path, I can do no wrong, because that is the path that is in harmony with all things, right? You could say it's God's path. You could say it's your God self's path. It's Source's path. It's the highest path for any of us. So that's how I unfolded my day. So my list is still sitting there. My mind, I heard it whisper, it's like, oh, you're not going to get those things done. I'm like, no, right now I'm doing this. This is the most important thing for me to do, because this is where I feel lit up. I feel aligned. I feel like I'm doing what I'm here to do right now. And as soon as this is done, maybe I won't even post it immediately. Maybe this doesn't get posted until tonight. We'll see. It's whatever is coming up in the moment. And so following that. And when we do that, we expand time, because time is malleable and it bends based on what we need. So that was one example just for today. Another example, and I'd love to hear what your examples are. And one of the things too about this expanding time is when we're allowing things to be more free, more fluid, for us to follow those breadcrumbs, we're also allowing things to be less perfect. And what is perfect anyways? Perfect is actually alignment. But we have this misconception that perfect is what the mind defines it, or somebody else's mind defines as perfect. There are no rules around this. Now, we have rules around this, but we're being invited to step away from the rules of how things should be and just do things as they are unfolding for us in what feels most resonant. I hope that makes sense. I don't want to belabor this. Okay, another example is a vision of an RV. Okay, so there was a vision that I've had of an RV. We've had it for a long time. And this vision of an RV is really about giving us more flexibility, my partner and I, to travel and still be able to do the kind of service work that we love doing. We love doing. Like, we love what we do. It's not a matter of wanting to escape and, just run off into the sunset and say goodbye to the things that we really love to do. It's about being able to do more of it in ways that feel aligned while opening the door to a completely new adventure. And so we became swept up in this tremendous energy that was bringing this into physical form over the last 8 days or so. And so I received the idea that the date that this thing would start to show up around the 12th. And so we didn't bother to do anything until the 12th came. 12th comes, and that this perfect opportunity, this perfect vehicle for us would show up then, and sure enough it did. And so it started this amazing, fast moving track of one thing after the other, until finally this vehicle shows up from the most amazing guy that we have things that feel in common. There's rapport, there's beautiful energy there. Where it's located is in this beautiful, serene spot. To get there, to see this thing, was several long, beautiful country drives during the most exquisite days. So we're constantly in flow, enjoying. And then I was joking in the Elevate community today that, it was funny. I felt really, really compelled in some ways to chime in and participate in the community, especially yesterday on the solstice, but couldn't. Every time I did, the signal would drop to 1 bar and there's nothing I could do. So it was just this very interesting reminder and orchestration from the highest aspects of me, just saying, just focus, just enjoy. The space has been created for you. You are creating powerful things as you just keep following the breadcrumbs to allow this particular vision to manifest. And so sure enough, it did. And by yesterday, late afternoon, we had done our virtual handshake for the most perfect RV for us. Beautiful, mint condition, low mileage, with warranty. Like all the things that we never had really thought too much about, but deep down we would have wanted, just came together. Super easy, super fast. Now, moving fast can make the mind feel uncomfortable. And so sometimes there will be, quite often, this like nervousness afterwards. Like, oh my God, what have I just done? Like, what am I thinking, right? What are we going to do with this thing? Where are we going to put it? How are we going to... Even if you've thought about these things before, once you take action, there can be this place of like, oh my God, and what is that? Sometimes there's legitimately something to look at that you missed a loose end and you check and then you can address it. But most often, it is the lower mind trying to derail you from going on this new adventure, from letting go of an old way of being and stepping into a new way of being, this new life. So it's programming and conditioning that's showing up through the ego. And so when that happens, be aware. Now, that didn't happen this time with me. It happened a few days prior, so it sprinkled its way in, and that was fun to play with. But coming out the other side is immensely expansive. And I want to talk about a little bit about that as well, because that was the energy we were playing with yesterday. How many people, and I would love to take a poll, because there was definitely a very elevated energy around this on the emotional side. And I talked a bit about that yesterday or the other day about, being this Cancer energy where it's like this, it's an emotional time, because Cancer is about emotion as well. And depending on what you were playing with, you may have been on different sides of this. So for me, I happened to be at the solstice, the peak of this energy, the solstice energy, in a place where we knew and consciously were aware and had already processed any kinds of hesitation, reservations. We were now clear, moving towards the vision being realized. And so being in that space, it became an emotional time, not for my mind, my mentally, but my physicality completely came alive with tears. And I wasn't sobbing, but had I allowed myself more space to, I would have wept. And it went on for 30 minutes. I just kept drying my eyes. And when I tuned in and asked about it, it was my own body that was thrilled, so much joy coming forward, because it already knows where we're headed, right? Your body is psychic. It knows the plan that's about to unfold. It knows the plan you're being invited to. It's in union with your soul that is beckoning you forth in the direction of exactly where you want to go. And so that was what happened to me. It's like I could feel it in my body, but I was kind of detached from it, but I couldn't separate myself from it because it's my body having this emotional response. So it was beautiful. But I know I spoke to several other people, and it was an intense day yesterday, bumping up against conflict and challenge and being met with other differing opinions, ego, lower minds, and just conflict and challenge. And just know that whatever it was that you were experiencing yesterday was so, so important. And it was all to bring us into this place of being more pure, more clear. And how do you do that? If you are already clear, more of this energy will amplify that purity and elevate it and bring more clarity in an elevated way. If you are playing with things that are lower, which is not wrong or bad, but it's just if you are, it's going to stir those things up so that they can come to the surface. And if you have your emotional experience or explosion comes from that place, it's great. And I was explaining this to a couple of sisters yesterday. It's like when that happens, it seems on the surface when it's happening, if there was like an outburst with a partner, or an outburst with business, right? With someone that you're working with, and you just like lost, you just couldn't contain yourself anymore, or the other person did that to you. It's perfect, because all of this stuff has to come up and out. And when it's coming out of you or out of someone else, or you're receiving, or you're like having the experience, it is so potent because it's allowing those parts to be, in a sense, shed from you. So let it happen. Let it out. As the dust settles, you're going to end up being more fortified, more grounded in the truer expression of yourself, and more ready to move forward, more able to hear the guidance coming from your higher self, the fullness of who you are, able to communicate through your physical vessel, because your physical vessel is now maybe devoid of some belief systems, a little lighter from the programming that you have trampled on or pulled out or clear, whatever you want to describe it, right? You're going to be more receptive and more able to be on purpose, to do the things that will lead you to fulfilling that purpose with more ease and more grace and more flow. So just know that that stuff was so purposeful and so intentional. Okay, Let's wrap this up here. Basically, the solstice, my loves, this is the turning point. This is a place where we are taking our first leaps now into this next life. So the things that you're doing now, they feel big because, yeah, they're big. May and the beginning of June were like baby steps, but these are bigger baby steps. You'll be taking bigger steps later, but these are bigger steps now. So know that there is no going back. There is no point in looking back at the way things were and wanting them to be that way. It's just not on the course. It's not on the path, and it will never be. And that's a good thing. And it doesn't need to feel sad. Although there may be some things that you might, your emotions may come up and it may feel kind of sad. It can sometimes simply be just a celebration of letting go. And so allow it to be whatever it is. Just know that there is no going back. And you really, if you sit in stillness and ask, do I really want to continue that? And do I really? And your answer will be no. The question is, do you feel ready for what's next? Maybe not. And you don't have to. It's about just taking some steps. Just take a step. If you allow yourself to take the one step in the direction of whatever it is that does light you up, that will create and activate momentum for you. And then the next things that maybe didn't feel so exciting to address or like you even wanted to will suddenly take on a new life. You'll be breathing life into all things when you take that first step in the direction of what may look like it's too big. I can't even imagine how I'm going to get there. I can't even begin to think it yet. Just take one step. There's always one thing. And this I would love someone to challenge me on. But there's always one thing that you just don't feel as much resistance to. Or maybe even like, I actually kind of want to do that. Okay, do that one thing. That is a breadcrumb. Okay? But as you take these next steps forwards, my loves, it is going to open up an entirely new experience for you, for us, for everyone. And just know that if it's uncomfortable for you and feels like, oh God, it will pass. And what will be left will be like, oh my God, this is better than I ever could have imagined. Or this feels more like a fit than I ever really thought that it could be. Or this is opening up more doors than I ever realized that it had the potential to. Does that make sense? I'd love to know. Leave me a note below. And if you found this helpful, please like it. It helps the algorithm. And subscribe to my channel. Then you will always get these updates as soon as they're out. And share this. If you feel like this has been helpful for you or you know someone this might support, please share it. Please do. I really want to reach this number of 1 million people, helping them unlock their purpose, master their mind, and really begin to live these soul-led lives that we are all here to do. So join us in the next video. Join us in the Elevate community. If this is something you want to do in community, if the doors are closed, simply ask to join and I will be in touch with you, either via putting you on a wait list or maybe being able to let you in a little bit early. Okay, sending you so much love, my loves. And please let me know in the comments, how was this experience for you? How have you been doing? What have you noticed? What of this resonated with you? And as you go into these next days, reflect, allow yourself to be reborn, and then act, okay? We're at this pinnacle full moon, and this is the perfect time to sow your seeds of what you really want to see in the days ahead. So take some time for you, expand time for yourself, and reflect. Let me see. Yeah. I think here. Yeah. Reflect, celebrate where you've been, because you've done a lot. Reflect and realign, make the changes that need to happen. Don't be afraid. Make the changes that need to happen. Don't be afraid. And then rebirth yourself. Just go do it. Just go do it. You cannot fail. You cannot fail. You may fall, you may stumble, you will get back up. Things will be better the more you continue to follow those breadcrumbs and just not listen to the mind. We play with this stuff inside Elevate. So if this is something you feel you could use support with, let me know. You can always join. The link will be below. It's Elevate, ELEV, the number 8, TEME.com. And we'll see you on the inside. So much love to you. Bye for now.